This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
And I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing just fine, John. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's colder outside and all that other crap, Christmas carols, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, but it's like I kind of like at the point there. It's just been like really, it's like just really unbearably hot for a good portion of the year. Now it's getting to the point where we're freezing our asses off. But who came here to hear us talk about the weather? God damn it!
Nope, nobody does. No one gives a shit.
Yes. Yep. I'd also like to welcome our buddy Brandon this week. So he's gonna be joining in like every once in a while too.
Everybody out there, how you doing?
Yep.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. It's our pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah, and also this week it's my pleasure to talk about the talk about one of the longest it's like one of the longest comics that Grant Morrison has ever written. Or no, it actually is the longest thing he's ever written. It's his tenure on Batman, which started way back in 2006, and it's went on for over 70 issues, and has finally culminated in the recent release of Batman Incorporated Volume 2. Now when Morrison started writing Batman back in the day, I mean, he was about as bulletproof as a comic book writer could get. He had great runs on JLA, a defining run on X-Men. He had this multi-part DC Universe experiment called Seven Soldiers of Victory, which is very well received. And he also had a lot of great creator-owned projects under his belt as well, like The Invisibles and The Filth, and all sorts of other crazy stuff from Vertigo. Now, and I believe this also around this time he's also getting to do his definitive Superman story, All-Star Superman. Now, thing is though, so putting him on a Batman just seemed like a fanboy's wet dream come true. You got an A-list writer tackling one of the A-list characters, so it was really a question of what could go wrong. Well, at first it seemed like they couldn't get the issues out on time, because even though he was paired with an A-list artist, Andy Kubert, the series did have a very very rough serialization for its first year or so. But as things got going, it became clear that Morrison really did have a master plan for Batman. It's like that took him into some really strange, weird places and did a lot of stuff that no one had ever seen with the character before. I really enjoyed Morrison's run, but even though it is really, really choppy and hard to follow, even in collected form. But also, it was Morrison also hit upon a nice solution to the ongoing problem of the invincibility of Batman. Now, we all know, Batman's always going to win because Batman always triumphs over everything. I mean, just it's like a man to pit him against just real world problems and just see about how he'll find ways to punch world hunger into submission and whatnot. Well, but in comics though, it's always challenge to find out how do you make Batman beating up someone interesting. How do you find problems with find ways for him to take on problems that that we haven't seen before that aren't going to seem boring. Well, Morrison throughout a good portion of his run basically hit upon the idea of hitting Batman with ideas rather than straight up villains. I mean, yes, there's a lot of familiar antagonists here from the Joker, the Penguin, Talia al Ghul. More on her later, and Morrison hits Batman with his biggest idea, the one that came basically to dominate a lot of his run. That would be fatherhood, because the first arc is called Batman and Son, where we find out that way back in this one graphic novel called Son of the Demon, where it was revealed that Batman had a kid with Talia al Ghul, son of Ra's al Ghul, and a daughter of Ra's al Ghul. I mean, jeez. Anyway, turns out that this kid, she's been raising him for years, and it was something that was not acknowledged in continuity for a long time. Morrison decided to take an everything is true approach to the character, where everything that had happened to him before had happened, even the weird stuff that people don't want to acknowledge. And so then this is how we got Damian Wayne. Damian was raised by the League of Assassins, and it's like, and I'm born to be, like the superior killer. It's like, and it's like, and basically a worthy and ruthless heir to the, it's like, to the Al Ghul name. It's like then, and so so in the opening arc, Talia basically presents him has a meet with his dad, and basically offer him the idea of, hey, I want you to give up being Batman, stop playing with your childish games, and come with me, raise a family, be a father, and help take over the world as well. Batman, of course, shoots her down because he's Batman. He can't stop being Batman, trying to save the world in his own way. But that's like the first thing that Morrison hits him with. There's the threat of fatherhood, and also maturity to a certain extent. Then you get other things like him falling in love with the supermodel what's the word, supermodel president, ruler of the country of Matamba, Jezebel Jet. So you got romance. Then you've also got the Black Glove, which is a super group led by the mysterious Dr. Hurt, who's basically been planning Batman's demise for decades. Basically, like, instead of just this is like Batman's wondering, what if there's been a super villain group who's dedicated to my demise, that I have not been able to think about their plans. How do I stop that? It's like it's a big complex idea that Morrison does manage to sell, particularly in the Batman R.I.P. storyline, where where the Black Glove finally makes this move, destroys almost drives Bruce Wayne insane, hits him with weapons grade crystal meth, and he winds up roaming the streets of Gotham homeless and in rags, until his backup personality, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, takes over and goes nuts on all the people who screwed him over. So it goes in some really crazy directions. But that's also kind of part of the fun. Problems start cropping up in, say, the collected edition of R.I.P. when you realize that the final two issues are basically one tie-in to Morrison's DC Universe epic Final Crisis. This is where the universe was destroyed and rebuilt over the course of the event, and Batman shot Darkseid in the chest, and then got hit with the Omega beams, and was apparently thought dead, but was actually only lost through time. Now you wouldn't have known any of this unless you had got Final Crisis, and also the tie-in issues, which basically involve Batman fighting against his own memories. So again, you got another concept, concept that Morrison is throwing at Batman, fighting against his own memories, and I'm trying to take out the assassin in his mind before he can, before he's destroyed himself. It's a great little two-part story, but it would make no goddamn sense unless you were aware of Final Crisis. This is the kind of problem I had when I'm in the process of loaning this Morrison's Batman to a buddy of mine. So I basically had to tell him, okay, those last two issues of Batman RP, they're not going to make any sense to you at all unless so let me give you the brief rundown of RIP. Now the cool thing is that apparently someone at DC editorial realized that, hey, Grant, there's going to be all these people who are reading your Batman in trade paperback form, guys like me, who may not necessarily go out and buy Final Crisis. I did, but I'll buy anything by Morrison. So how do you do that? The solution is, and I talked about this actually a couple of years back in my podcast on Time in the Batman, was for Morrison to go back and do a two-part storyline that basically called R.I.P. the Missing Chapter, where he just filled in the blanks between the end of R.I.P. and Batman taking on Darkseid and becoming lost in time. Where you actually want to read that, it's kind of weird. I recommend doing it after R.I.P., but you can actually really do it any time up to the point where you get to the return of Bruce Wayne. But anyway, I'm rambling again. Oh, sorry, do nothing but ramble. And the point was that, hey, Batman's gone, lost in time. Who takes over? Well, the other issue is that apparently around this time there was some Morrison got into either some disagreement with DC, and they apparently weren't going to go ahead, and they were either going to not bring him on to complete his story, his storyline, or he was just going to go on and do other stuff. But whatever happened was there's this 3-month event called Battle for the Cowl, where Batman was disappeared, and then all the heroes in Gotham had to slug it out with one another to find out who was going to have the right to be the next Batman. I didn't read it because it was written by Tony Daniel, who did illustrate a good chunk of Morrison's run through RIP, and in the end, though, like the winners turned out to be Damian and Dick Grayson, the first Robin who later went on to become Nightwing. So now you've got the new Batman and Robin in their series, Batman and Robin, just trying to show, trying to take the place of the Batman and Robin that we'd known for all this time. Now, in a lesser writer's hands, this could have gone off terribly. Just having how do you replace Batman? I mean, God knows Marvel was trying to do this for years with Peter Parker, and we got the goddamn Clone Saga as a result. But no, Morrison hit upon the great idea of and he elucidates this in the opening arc with some great art by Frank Quitely, and it just basically has Alfred just point out the whole idea of being Batman. Hey, think of it as a performance, being how all these different actors are James Bond. So you, Master Dick, can be your own Batman. Don't try to be Bruce Wayne. He would hate that. So you just try to figure out a way to be your own Batman. And so this is how we get the quote unquote laughing Batman, the one Batman who actually does smile and is and does hang out and does actually get on pretty well with the police. Now, this followed through 3 volumes of Batman and Robin, as Morrison built up another another arc which involved the return of Dr. Hurt, new villains such as the crazed Professor Pig. It actually worked out, and it worked out really well. I thought I picked the 3rd volume, Batman and Robin Must Die, as one of my favorite volumes that year, and rereading it again, it still holds up incredibly well. And also the companion miniseries, The Return of Bruce Wayne, is once again Morrison's not pitting Batman against some guy he can punch. He's pitting Batman against time himself, time itself, and it works out. And for the most part, it worked out pretty well, even though there were a couple chapters that didn't quite function on their own, as stories on their own, and we're just lots of plot points that ultimately didn't quite come together. It's really it is an essential read for this particular for a Morrison story, but there you go. And also in Batman and Robin Must Die, we also got the transition from Batman and Robin to the next stage of Morrison's master plan, Batman Incorporated, because in the end of that story, Bruce Wayne came out and revealed that after all these years, he was the one secretly financing Batman's war on crime, and that in the end, after having come back from the future and seen what things held for him, he realized that essentially his pitch was that he wanted to take the war on crime global, and just don't have Batman just be one guy in Gotham, but have all these other crime fighters who had also been inspired by Batman, a regular guy going out and fighting crime, unite them under the Batman Incorporated banner and create a global crime fighting organization that would also help serve Batman as his own army in the time when he would need them most in his greatest crisis. Now, Batman Incorporated, there are 3 volumes of it, and it's unique in the sense that it has technically 2 number 1 volumes. The first volume was 8 issues plus a double issue special collected in the in regular just Batman Incorporated volume, you can tell it's that one because it's got art by a lot of different artists like Yannick Paquette, like Cameron Stewart, in addition to the man who went on to become the series' regular artist, Chris Burnham. But that did a really, like, even though like there were some parts where like where it was really kind of hard to follow, like the threads Morrison was weaving, like when things did come together, and they did come together really well in certain parts of it, that like it was a fantastic read. Now then we're coming to the New 52, and so when we got the last two volumes, just basically Batman Incorporated Volume 1, Demon Star, and now Volume 2, Gotham's Most Wanted. I wrote about Demon Star earlier this year, and I fucking loved it. This was a fantastic grade A climax to the series, or build up to the climax. That as we had some like truly like stunning action sequences, lots of great memorable moments, like the introduction of Bat Cow, the escalation of tension between Batman and Talia, who had now gone on to make her final move, and also the revelation, also like the payoff for the ongoing story of Damian as the future Batman who had sold his soul to the devil to protect Gotham. Turns out that unfortunately Batman did turn out to miscalculate that. It's in a little bit, like in his own way, but that turns up in Volume 2, Gotham's Most Wanted, the climax. So, how did this wrap up? But actually, first, Brandon, I mean, you told me earlier that you had read a couple issues of this. I mean, what did you think of Incorporated, or what you've read of Incorporated so far?
Well, I thought it was just a really interesting twist on the Batman mythology. What really impressed me about it was it reminded me of that symbology of Batman the character, and how, again, though unrelated, I think about the Nolan's films and that Dark Knight trilogy, and how in the beginning we're shown that Ra's al Ghul tells Bruce Wayne, if you commit yourself to this ideal, like, you can become more than a man, like you'll become a legend. And it even bookends with The Dark Knight Rises, with Bruce Wayne talking to Officer Blake, and he's kind of telling him how, like, I believe he asked him why he put on the mask, and Bruce tells him, it's to protect those who are closest to you, but like also it's like about the symbol, and to see like what Grant Morrison was able to write in regards to like this idea of Batman being the symbol, and taking that symbol on a global scale. Like, it was just something I hadn't seen before, like being a traditionally a Marvel reader. Like, it was like a new take on Batman that like I was intrigued with like right away, and the whole concept of Bruce Wayne having been this father, and seeing how that like affected him too. Like, to find out that he had this son that he had no idea about, and him kind of having to come to terms with that. Like, you kind of see, or at least from what I read, you kind of see like some of the genesis and how that begins to play out. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I just really enjoyed it. Like, I really need to finish the series, just from what I've heard you talk about. There's a lot about it that I'd like to find out more about.
Yeah, it's like, it's all available in, well, the thing, like the two recent volumes of Batman Incorporated are still only available in hardcover, but they'll be in softcover next year. Though I will say that I do think it's very, very well worth picking up. But there's also one thing about this last volume that it does make there is like a good amount of tragedy, particularly in what happens in Damian's like final fate, and especially the fact that we find out that it's like, even though like Damian winds up becoming Robin to Batman's to Bruce Wayne's Batman, in the it's like in the new latest version of Batman Incorporated. It's also worth noting that I would have loved to have known just how that would have worked if we hadn't gotten the whole New 52 reboot. If this was like Morrison's plan from the beginning, because once New 52 happened, Batman wasn't just Batman around the world. He was Batman in Gotham City again. So that's kind of behind the scenes stuff that if I ever had the chance, if I ever like saw Morrison at a convention, I'd love to ask him about that. But the fact that Damian and Bruce Wayne don't really work well together as Batman and Robin. Damian and Dick Grayson, like once it's funny because once Dick stops trying to be Bruce Wayne as Batman and starts being his own personal Batman, it's like they wind up having a great chemistry and working together as a great team. Especially that's exemplified really well in this volume when they're under fire from Talia's agents, and Damian says like you're my great favorite part. You're my greatest part. Like you're the best partner, Dick. It's like there was no one, like we were the greatest together. And even though it's like at that point they charge to take out the bad guys, that's not like it. There's not a happy ending here, because in the end, Batman. It's like Batman does triumph, but he winds up losing so much in the process. And in the end, it all comes back to that very first thing that Talia put to him in Morrison's first arc. Hey, I wanted you to to stop being a goddamn superhero, stop playing around with all this childish stuff, and grow up and become a family man. But no, you're not going to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy every single thing you love in this world. And she came so close, but in the end, it's as Batman, as Morrison had them say at the very beginning of R.I.P., Batman and Robin will never die. And so in the end, he winds up. It's like Batman does triumph because he's Batman, and he goes on to live another day. It's like it's not quite the dynamic, mind-blowing conclusion that I was probably hoping for. I mean, it's like I like how how he brings things full circle in the end, but there does this final volume does feel like it loses a little bit of momentum as well. So it's a good climax. Certainly it certainly does not leave me with the feeling that my time reading Morrison's run was wasted. In fact, rereading all of this over the last week or so, man, it's like I said, it's a very messy, choppy read, but at the same time, it's so incredibly well planned out with lots of little details being packed here and there, like the one of the like the whore with the prostitute with the makeup, who Batman says, hey, get off the streets, hiring at Wayne Industries. Here's the card, and then you see her as one of the receptionists in the final volume. It's like little details like that really show you that let you know that even if Morrison even if the roadmap was kind of really kind of weird and crazily drawn, he did have a plan, and he knew what he was doing throughout the course of his run. And that's really what we can hope for just about any major superhero story, that we've got that the writer has a plan, that they know what they're doing, and that they've got enough guts and really clout to pull it off. Because if another writer had suggested, some no-name writer had suggested they do stuff like this, they would have been laughed out of the room. With Morrison, it's like Morrison's the kind of perfect storm of a guy who thinks big, has the successful commercial track record to pull off a lot, to ask for these ballsy do these ballsy moves, like bring back Batman's son, and then do the whole Batman Incorporated thing to get DC to go, okay, Grant, yeah, we know you've done crazy stuff before, but we trust you with this, and pull it off very well. In the end, I think it all comes. I highly recommend it if you're looking for Batman that is definitely off the beaten path. something that's a bit more than Scott Snyder's current run, which I've enjoyed, but I will agree that it's not quite groundbreaking. It's more an example as I've read before of ruthless competence as the way he pulls things off, just taking familiar stuff that we've seen before and making it new again. While Morrison really went and pushed the character and the franchise in new directions. One last thing to talk about for this final volume is that there are some extras at the end, because there was actually a fill-in issue written by Chris Burnham with art by Jorge Lucas that involved the Batman of Japan taking on like a female an evil female Sentai group of bike riders, and it's ridiculous. I mean, but even though I can imagine people, this issue came right before the final issue of Morrison's run, but because apparently they just needed the extra time for her to pull it off. But reading it as an afterthought, it actually is a bit of goofy fun as Batman Japan teams up with Lolita Canary, basically a 3-inch girl who fights crime in a schoolgirl outfit with wings, and
Seriously?
yeah, and they fight Lady Lady Tiger Fist, who has tiger's heads for fists.
Wow.
And it's ridiculous, and reading it here it moves incredibly fast, and so you don't have time to linger on it, think about how ridiculous all this stuff is. But it was good fun, and Burnham also goes back to that same well of wackiness in his story for the Batman Incorporated special, which is just basically a nice little series of vignettes about some of the notable Batman Incorporated characters we saw over the course of Morrison's run. It's after the climax, these are nice bits of falling action, and they help you detox from the whole intensity of Morrison's run. So even though they're not, a lot of these stories aren't essential reads, I think they work they work pretty well in the context of of this volume. So kudos to DC for including them both here. So, I think that's about all I have to say. John, Brandon, any final thoughts?
Well, I was a little. This is kind of more clarification on my part. These runs aren't related at all with death in the family, right?
Wait. Are you talking about death in the family, the one where the original Robin died, or where the Jason Todd Robin died, or death of the family, where the Joker came back?
Yeah, the newer run, not Jason Todd, but the one with the Return of the Joker.
Yeah, actually, they happened concurrently as a matter of fact. As this was going on, Morrison was doing his run, just without having to bother tying in with them at all. And
okay.
Yeah, so even though Damian does show up and play a fairly a notable role in the Batman issues for death of the family, basically the way the continuity works is that that story happened for reasons that you will find out. But that story happens before the final volume of Morrison's Batman Incorporated.
Gotcha. I see.
Yeah, but when you're doing when you're bringing your years-long superhero saga to a close, I imagine you get special dispensation to not bother with tying in with other people's crossovers.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed with at least most of his work that I'm familiar with, because they're usually non-linear to current canon in within the DC universe, or even some of the stuff he's done for Marvel as well.
Yeah, Morrison actually he does show a fairly liberal attitude towards past continuity. If something has happened in Batman, he will acknowledge it. But as far as he doesn't really. But as far as paying attention to current goings on, he's more intent on plowing his own way.
Right, yeah, that's one of the things I liked about All Star Superman was that it
Oh,
didn't
well,
follow a current storyline or like a specific storyline within the Superman comic books, but it was just more of this like it was just this iconic Superman story that followed like his history or things that had happened to him throughout like various comic book runs and things of that sort.
yeah. I mean, like, All-Star Superman was basically its own continuity that basically allowed Morrison to do whatever the hell he wanted with the character.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, John.
No comments for me. It sort of seems like I got a lot of reading to do in order to catch
Yeah, because I mean, it's Morrison's run is collected over like say 12 volumes, and I don't envy the person at DC who has to decide what order do we put these things in when they start collecting these issues. So that's going to make it's going to be really interesting to see how they decide how do we order things, especially in the post RAP section. So yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed Morrison's run. It's like it's not his best work, but it's still definitely a must read for if you're a fan of his work and also a fan of Batman as well. And I don't know. And I guess on that note, say hey, because like Merry Christmas, everyone, because you're listening to this on the 25th, I believe.
That's right.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and we'll catch you later on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Right, laters.